Have you ever had Tintin sex? If so, what was it like? Wife ex-wife now and I after a friend's wedding one time. We were both just the right amount of drunk. She was horny AF and ready for anything but not so drunk that she didn't know what she was doing. I thread the needle so the alcohol prevented me from finishing easily, but I wasn't so drunk I couldn't get it up. We fucked every which way, somewhere between 1 and 2 hours. Hands down, best ever. Because we were married, we were super comfortable with each other, which makes it easier. But I don't think there was an abundance of love that night. It was mostly lust. Honest answer: I've had delightful wonderful sex with a number of people, but my absolute favorite was a one-night stand. We had been messaging for a while and she was sending me absolute filth in the form of fantasies. I never thought she would back it up in person, but I was wrong. She wanted to spend the evening pushing boundaries, so I absolutely and completely violated her. The peak moments being when she gushed whilst I had a full hand inside her, using her like some 30-sock puppet, and when she finished me off by jerking me off with her tongue buried in my chocolate starfish. I dated this girl for a while and she was a freak. She just wanted to get down with sex all the time. Any time of day I'd be like, "Yeah, let's go. I'm so nasty." And I'd be nailing her, and she'd be like, "Huh, you're nailing me. Cool." She loved the dirty talk. She was totally into it. She'd be like, "Yeah, let's screw, let's triple times F. I need to fuck." God, it was so dirty. She'll be like, "Oh, me so horny, me love you long time." Yeah, she had great breasts. They were. You ever feel a woman's breast and it feels like a bag of sand? They were like that. Oh man! That kind of sex is amazing. Even the quickies like that are, sparkles, chef's kiss, sparkles, you'll be quaking and trembling from the orgasm. It hits you so hard it's quite overwhelming and very addicting. I've had times where my muscles locked up cause it was so intense and I couldn't move until my partner pushed me over like I was a scared cow being cow-tipped, just so my body could unlock itself. IYK what I'm talking about. Getting your muscles to unlock is not a very pleasurable feeling either. Him, you good? Me, you move me? I'm stuck again. Skull. Yep. I'm bi. I was a tour guide for this guy and his friends from Brazil. Got some signals from him the first few days of his trip. They left for different destinations before returning to my city for few last days before leaving. We went out to some bars. Flirted with each other. The chemistry was crazy. I left for the toilet. When I got out, he pushed me back and then we made out, then had sex. It was the first time I let someone fuck me, and it's also the first time I learned about the prostate G-spot. Everything was just great. It was not with someone I loved but an old flame. Can never forget those 6-8 hours, pouring outside, and we just went at it like bunnies. Every single room, every single surface we could find. Chafing was the least of our worries, after the last time both of us literally felt like we were going to die and thus had to stop after finishing up slowly. It's a blur and it's vividly imprinted in my mind at the same time. I wonder what made it the greatest night ever. And then I wonder if I can ever have it again with my partner, linked up with my ex again. Very rare thing to happen. There were clear feelings still there. Literally epic. We both knew we couldn't get back together with each other, but we both knew what we were doing. We knew exactly what it took to get each other off. Insane, somehow in the back of a car, windows condensed in, car bouncing, music blaring. Finished at the same time. 110. I guess it was the feeling that it was truly the last time we were ever gonna do this that made us fuck each other like it was our last. 1010. Long distance girlfriend after not having seen each other for months. Didn't have any condoms on hand, so we just laid down face to face and used our hands while making out. I got so lost in the making out, that I wasn't even conscious of what was going down below, until suddenly we both busted at the same time, both having the longest, most intense orgasms either of us had even had. I've had better sex in my life since then with longer term partners, but that is the one that sticks out the most in my mind. Don't know if I'd ever say I had a 10-10 sex moment, but I definitely had some really wonderful ones. The sexual alchemy between people is unpredictable. Sometimes you should be a good match, you like each other etc. and are mutually attracted, but the X factor just isn't there. Sometimes there is only lots of X but you don't like each other, are not compatible, and really are not people that could or should be in a healthy relationship. One of those many unfortunate truths about life. I think, to me, the best sex happens when your partner can read you in the moment and wants to please you as much as they want to be pleased. You have to be in the same mindset as well. When those stars align, bam, sexual ecstasy. My wife and I have totally different sex drive levels. Before I got married I was with some absolute dynamite filthy hoes. My wife is a little reserved, but when we both can read each other in the moment, the best sex I've ever had is with her, hands down, no comparison. My only male multiple orgasm. Tinder hookup, spent a few hours getting to know each other, tension building. Hotboxed some weed in her car, went up to my hotel room. 30 minutes in, deep-throated me, rode me cowgirl till I was almost there, then swallowed my cum and kept sucking, and it all felt so good I stayed her cum again missionary, hard like she wanted, then she swallowed me again. And when I actually said thank you and she giggled you're welcome, and we fell asleep. I was like 19, working a night shift and talking this older 20s maybe 30-year-old lady on Tinder, talking all sorts of nasty. After weeks of talking she said she would be in town for one day in a hotel, and we made plans to meet at her hotel. Unfortunately it was the day I get off night shift, but I didn't care. Didn't know anything about each other other than our names. Best sex I've had in my life, lasted hours and very raunchy and rough. I don't miss it by any means, but it sure was great. My wife and I regularly hit 10-10. Last time we had sex, it was a day-long build-up with sexy texts, videos and pictures she sent me that were hot AF. My climax was one of those world-shattering, I cannot move or see properly type of deals. We are strangely compatible and complementary, including what we find sexy. I also truly believe she is the most beautiful woman in the world, which is why I try to get her naked most of the time. I'm lucky to have found and married my soulmate. Deep connection, total trust, passion, intense desire, care, hitting intense orgasm simultaneously and staying in that same position without moving, just hugging each other completely exhausted for 30 minutes. Have experienced similar multiple times. Always thought this was the norm until growing older and realizing it's not. Once you experience it in this way, everything else pales in comparison. Totally lost any interest in ONSs and sex as a form of validation gratification. I had a 2010 blowjob once back in 2000. It was almost indescribable. My dick felt so small in her mouth, it was like she was sucking me inside out. She knew exactly what to do and I only lasted like 2 minutes. Then she did it again that night. We never did anything after that as she realized she wanted to go back to her ex, so I was sad. I've never had head like that before or since. I hope that wherever she is, she's happy, and hopefully teaching other women how to do that. Pretty much every time with my current partner, but a more interesting one was with an ex-partner. It wasn't even penetrative, it was purely bodies rubbing against each other because neither of us was comfortable with sex yet, but it was so intimate and intense, that it didn't even matter. We were like edging each other for almost an hour, and we ended up coming at the exact same time. It was fucking intense and just felt amazing to just collapse into each other right after. Once on a 1.5-hour drive to then girlfriend now wife's place, we got so excited we pulled over to fuck in the car less than 10 minutes from her house. We couldn't wait. Also once we got all dressed up for a night out, got a hotel reservation at a nice restaurant, and we left after the appetizer to go back to the hotel and rip it all off. We also snuck out of someone's wedding to go do it, and I blame her little red dress for that one. All a bit silly but very memorable. Got picked up by a European girl long ago, lose my so many different first times, I was a total V at that time. And end up staying at hers for a month. One late night out she got really horny and asked me to put something in her, so I go look around the house but couldn't find anything remotely fitting. End up putting a bunch of leftover fries and eat it all the way down till she came. Then both of us got so turned on and have a second round. Best time of my life. I'm a simple man so I have nothing extraordinary. But I lived with my wife like 5 minutes walking distance from my job, for 2 years. We were trying to make a baby at that time and she texted me if I can make a bit longer lunch pause. So I went sprinting, she was already prepared with legs spread to accept my deposit. The urgency of being quick made it 10-10 for me. Not for her I guess, but she recalls it from time to time as good old times. So good that my husband polyamorous actually texted him the next day to thank him because I was happy and chipper instead of my usual cranky and overworked self. Like he fucked every last bit of stress out of me. I literally saw stars. So good that I'm half tempted to his username even though we haven't talked in over a year. But I'll just say thanks, Marty. You'll always be the king of my spreadsheet, man. I didn't realize how lucky I was. I feel like 10-10's sex the norm for me. My husband and I are so compatible, physically and emotionally, the sex has always been mind-blowing and it really just keeps getting better and better. Never have any issues finishing multiple times, we almost always come together. It's just perfect. I still crave him almost daily, even after 15 years together. It's an all-day affair, minimum of 3 times. At least all the big 3 positions. Girl gets a double O, guy finishes at the same time, and also guy gets girl to come twice. Yes, double O and coming twice are not the same thing. And then it's followed by romantic songs during said sex and after, homemade food of preference, and falling asleep only to wake up at midnight for one last round. Lots of chemistry, mutual attraction. I felt passion and excitement when we began kissing, touching. Lots of foreplay, making out, doing oral first, both giving and receiving, with me finishing. I prefer to orgasm from oral then PIV for a nice amount of time, rough mixed with gentle hair pulling, choking, butt slapping. Eye contact. Being called a good girl multiple rounds. I feel these replies are creating a wholesome version of Penthouse Forum. Also, as these answers touch on a really important truth, great sex is really about communication, vibe, connection, presence, and something of an X factor can't be replicated. Great sex doesn't have to be about performance, earth-shattering sensation, fiery intensity, or interesting technique. The best sex that was a perfect 10. It's my first time when I have sex with a black guy that I met. He had an 11-inch cock, and that was the biggest I ever had, and he fucked me for over an hour and day 1 2 straight non-stop. I orgasm at least about 8 to 10 times. I even passed out from sex with high. I knew you were still fucking me, and when I had consciousness it was still continuing.